Everyone, so I'm here today in the lab, empty lab, to give you guys directions on how to do your senses lab. So you want to make sure that you have out your human senses lab that I gave to you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the 9 different stations that we've got. Okay? So for station 1, all right, station 1, the directions are here. We are dealing with light touch and deep pressure, okay? So you'll see here, we've got the stamp pad here, and that marks a grid in squares that mimics the grid that you have here. And we're gonna be doing 3 different areas: the back of the hand, the palm, and then the inside part of the forearm, okay? Now, if you read the directions, you need to test a total of 3 circles in each of the quadrants. So 12 circles total get tested on each grid. So 3 circles here, 3 circles here, 3 circles here, 3 circles here, okay? Now, for the light touch, I know it's hard to see, but let me pick up this one. I actually have a paintbrush bristle here, okay? And so the person who is actually doing the touching, you need to kind of pretend like that paintbrush bristle is a mosquito that is trying to get a blood meal off of somebody. So if you think about it, if we detect that the mosquito is landing, we're going to smash it and squash it and bye-bye mosquito, which isn't a bad thing when we're talking about them biting us, but you know, they're important in ecology, so we don't want to get rid of all of them. So anyway, the person who is being tested, just for this one, you need to close your eyes, because oftentimes you will think you see, you think you feel something when you really don't, okay? So person who's testing, you're gonna take that bristle and you're gonna touch it to their skin, and if they say yes, then you know that they felt it. If they say yes, then you need to take your pencil and you're gonna color in the circle where they felt the touch. If they don't say anything, guess what? They didn't feel it. So then you're going to do an X, okay? So you only have to test, you don't need 12 yeses, you just need 12 test circles in each grid. The second part of this is deep pressure, and for that we use the pins. Now we're not gonna use the pointy side of the pin because I don't want you to turn your lab partner into a pin cushion. We're gonna use the flathead side. So person who is being tested on, you're going to feel the touch with this, all right? That's not the point. It's, do you feel the pushing force? Do you feel the pressure? And that's what you need to say yes or no to. So you can have your eyes open for that, okay? Now the ink is washable ink, so when you're done, you can move on and actually wash things off. Our second station here, now I don't have the pins in because it's Saturday, and if I leave them in the water all weekend, they will rust. But this beaker here will have ice and water in it, so those pins are going to be cold. And then this one on here will have water in it, and this will be on, and this will be hot. Now, first thing, please make sure that water stays in this, because if the water boils away, the pins that are in there get rip-roaring hot, and I don't want anybody to get burned. I actually did have that a couple of years ago. All of a sudden I heard this girl going, ow, 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 and I looked over and her lab partners were burning her because the pins were not in water anymore. So if it's too hot, adjust it down. We do need it a little bit warm, so don't go by this number here, because that number isn't the temperature that the pins are at, but we do need them warmer than body temperature, because otherwise, you're never gonna feel it, okay? So it's the same deal as the light touch deep pressure. You've got the grid stamper here with the washable ink, and you're going to be actually on page 2 here, okay? And you're testing the same 3 areas, 12 circles on each, one with hot, one with cold. Again, it's not do you feel the touch, it's do you feel the temperature difference. Now, person who is pulling the pins out, I would probably not use the pins for more than 2 or 3 touches. That's why there's so many that are going to be in the beakers, because the cold ones are going to warm up to room temperature very quickly, and the warm ones are going to cool down very quickly because they're not very big pins. Okay, so that is station 2. Now, station 3 is over here, And we use this little device here, which is a 2-point discriminator. And I know it's kind of hard to see. Actually, you guys can see pretty well, at least I can see through the camera. You can see we've got a little scale on here. So what we're going to be doing is we start with this closed, and you'll notice that the distance then is 0. So when I touch a location, I should feel 1 touch. And let me show you a little bit about what's happening here. So I have a couple of neurons here. I know my beautiful drawings on the board, okay? So my first neuron here, you can see it's got a circle there with the receptive field. All right, that's the area that that neuron monitors. And when I have 2 touches, sorry, I know I'm trying to get the marker cap off. When I detect 2 touches within that same receptor field, I will only detect 1 touch, okay? So what we're trying to do is say, okay, how far before we have a second touch that is detected, okay? When I actually trigger 2 neurons, then I will feel 2 touches. So you can see we're going to be testing in 3 different areas, okay? We're going to be testing the fingertip, the back of the neck, and the palm. So you start with this all the way closed, just like it is now, and you touch it, and they should say 1. And then you're going to open it up a little bit, and then touch it again. And if they say 1 again, then you're going to open it up a little bit more, touch it again. You keep opening it up and touching one of those areas until they say 2. Once they say 2, you read the measurement. In this case, it would be 8 millimeters, and you record that as trial 1. Now, what I would recommend that you do is that you do, let's say you do the fingertip trial 1, then I would do back of the neck, then I would do palm, then start with trial 2 with fingertip, back of the neck, palm. Because if you're doing fingertip, 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 you're going to be hitting in the same area all the time. Okay? And then you find the average. So that is station 3 here with our 2-point discrimination. Okay, station 4. We move on to our taste map. And so we have this setup here with our taste map. And so in these little vials, I have salt solution, I have sweet solution, I have bitter solution, which I'll get you guys more of, and I have some sour solution, okay? You're gonna use 4 of these little plastic cups. And you don't need to fill them. They're almost like little medicine measuring cups, okay? You don't need to fill them up. You really just need enough to wet the end of one of these. Now, these are sterile cotton-tipped applicators, and when you open them at this end, let me see if I can do this one-handed, and I can't. So when I open them, you'll see I get the stick here, and then I pull them out and they look like this, okay? So you get 2 of them in the package. So you're gonna need 2 packages of those applicators. So basically, you just need to put enough of this solution into the cup to wet the end of one of the cotton applicators. And then what you're going to do is, on the test subject, you are going to test these different areas on the tongue, okay? Now, the person who is being tested, and you only need to test 1 person, stick your tongue out and have them swab these different regions all at once, and then pull your tongue back in and tell them where you tasted that particular flavor, salty, sweet, whatever, okay? If you pull your tongue back into your mouth, the problem is you wash saliva over your whole tongue, and then it becomes really hard to tell, especially because some of these areas are really close to each other. Now, person who is swabbing, be very careful with this one at the back. Please do not gag them, all right? Just be very, very careful with that. And my other recommendation for this one is to do the bitter one last, okay? You also probably are going to want to make sure that you have something to drink That's actually really good to kind of wash off your tongue, especially at the end, but some people like to wash it off in between. So that is station 4. Now station 5 is back here, okay? So I have 2 vials. One is marked with a star. One is just plain, okay? They have the same aroma in them, all right? But one is stronger than the other. And one of the sensors that actually undergoes adaptation very quickly is our sense of smell. So what you're going to do is you're going to open both vials and you're going to smell them, okay? And basically you're going to count how many sniffs it takes for them to smell the same. And sometimes it doesn't take very long. And so you're going to record that number of sniffs on your data table. So that this lab or this station does not take long at all, and both people can actually do that one. So that is station 5. Now station 6 is over here, and this is smell identification. Now this is one where people tend to cheat, so don't be a cheater. So over here I have these different cups that are labeled with different numbers, 1, 2, and so on. Just make sure you're checking. That corresponds to the vial number that's on your table. These sticks are in here, okay, so that you can take them out and actually smell the aroma that is in there, all right? So you're gonna actually smell everything at least twice. So the first time you smell, okay, on your table here, if you detect the smell, you can just put a check mark, okay? If you smell it and you're like, you know, I've smelled that before, go ahead and put a check mark in column 2. And then if you recognize it and you want to make a guess, then go ahead and make a guess here in column 3. Don't worry about the totals there. I need to take that off at some point here in this lab because we never use it, and that's fine. Once you've done your first round, then in this envelope, okay, there's basically a word bank. Now, the aroma names are just in alphabetical order here, and you're going to go back through and smell all 10 odors again. But this time then, you're going to fill in column 4 using the word bank as a guide to help you kind of figure out all 10 aromas that are there. Okay? All right, so that is station 6. Now, station 7 is probably, you know, I can help you on almost all of these. With station 7, with the blind spot and the compensation, it's really challenging, okay? So the first one you're gonna work with is this blind spot indicator. And inside of the envelope are little strips, okay? And those strips look like that, okay? So you are going to hold this up so that the plus mark is basically in front of one of your eyes, and you either need to close or cover your other eye. Now, I purposely set this up so that you're across the lab from like the posters that are over there on the wall. Now, what I like to do is I like to pick a word, like, you know, you've got that one poster that says biology really big. You want to keep your eye focused on that word biology, or pick something else, I don't care. But that keeps your eye from moving. It also keeps your eye in focus because you want to focus on one spot, because if you focus on the paper, then you're never going to find your blind spot. But basically what you do is you move this around, and all of a sudden this dot is going to wink out. So basically you're trying to figure out, okay, if I'm looking at the word biology, where would I find my blind spot? And you may need to move up and down, you may need to move side to side and in and out to do that. Once you have done that, then you're going to work with the visual compensation indicator, which looks just like this, except the dot now has a line through it. You're going to do that again, and the reason why we find your blind spot first is so that way then you kind of know where to hold the paper when you're using the blind spot compensation one. And then once you do that, then you've got 2 questions that relate to the one with the visual compensation indicator. So what happens to the line, and then does the portion of the line that passes through the dot disappear? Okay, so that is station 7. Be patient with yourself, okay? Like I said, I can help you with really any other station that is on here. This is one that you've just got to take some time to do, okay? All right, station 8 is bleaching, and it's right actually over next to the smell adaptation, which is fine. So I've got 2 different color pieces of paper here. So I've got the green and I've got the orange, and they're on that white background. So you're just gonna take the orange and you're gonna stare at it for about 30 seconds. Don't move your eyes, don't blink, any of that kind of stuff. Now, you can remove the orange, and then blink, okay? And you should see an after image. That after image is gonna be a different color, and all you need to do is record that color on your lab. And then you're gonna do the same thing with the green. So this one, again, doesn't take very long, pretty easy to do. Your last station here is on color blindness, and we are going to be using this book. So this book is supremely expensive. This little itty bitty teeny tiny book is about $300, okay? So just be careful, make sure your hands are clean. I mean, we're all washing our hands all the time anyway, so. And you want to have it so that, one person is standing on this side of the table and the person who is kind of taking the test can stand on the other side. You can't be right on top of each other for this. So each of the pages in this book, the reason why it's so expensive is these dyes are actually very true to color. So if sometimes you order stuff online and the color that you see online in the picture or on your monitor or on your phone isn't true to what it actually is. These aren't like that. These are very true to color. So you've got to, they're expensive to make because those dyes are so pure. So each of the colored plates has a number on the back. Okay. So for example, this is plate 1, and you will notice here, plate 1, all subjects should read the 12. Okay, so everybody should be able to see the 12. And then you will notice here we've got plate 2. Okay, normal subjects read an 8, red-green deficient, which is a type of color blindness, read a 3. Okay, and you're just going to continue through. And you guys can both do this. On your paper, if somebody is normal, just put a plus. If they are showing some signs of color blindness, you just put a minus. So you're going to go through all 14 plates there. And again, if you want to, each person can do this. This one's kind of fun to do. Okay, so those are the 9 stations. The 2 that take the longest are the touch ones. So you've got the light touch and the light touch deep pressure and then the thermal perception. Those do take a little bit of time. So just make sure that you're budgeting your time appropriately. Remember, you guys will have a second day in the lab on Wednesday. All right. Thank you to Mr. Dowie for guiding you guys through this, and I will see you in class on Wednesday.